Right-wingers, on the other hand, run bouldering towards their audience and say, oh, you want the most insane shit? I will give it to you, king. As long as you go out and vote, I will give it to you. I don't give a Let's get into it. It was debate night. We're going to go over some of the highlights. Fox News ratings just dropped. 12.8 million viewers across Fox News broadcast and Fox digital streams. This total far surpasses the network's expectations and suggests broad interest in Trump's challengers. I don't think it necessarily suggests broad interest in Trump's challengers. It just suggests that fucking politics is back, baby. This number is important, though, because this will get Trump to be interested in attending the debate. 12.8 million is really good by today's standards. I don't know how much of that is digital and how much of that is digital juicing those numbers, but it's really, really good. Politics is back. The crowd's reactions last night were so much crazier than 8 years ago in the primary debates. They were all over the place. I know. Some high notes, low notes. Here, let's get started. So last night's televised debate on Fox News accrued 12.8 million viewers across Fox's digital platforms and also on Fox News. That is very important. Because that means that there is a lot of interest in politics. Politics is back in a big way. It's back and better than ever. Now, there was a lot of highs and there was a lot of lows. I will explain my mentality and my analysis here. I have two different methods of analyzing something like this. One, where I put the Republican hat on, and I think, is this appealing to the broader Republican electorate, whether it be the primary or in the general? And then the other side of it is the normal Hasanabi piker analysis, which is, holy shit, all of this is so devastating. All of this is so damaging. American public consciousness has been eroded systematically over the course of the past century. We are a nation of freaks. We are a nation of fucking monsters. And everything that they're advocating for is bloodthirsty, vampiric, predatory, psychotic nonsense. And it's getting a lot of cheers and jeers. So, obviously every single aspect of last night's commentary, the back and forth, was infinitely damaging to the public psyche. I think that it's just, I don't know. It's hard not to feel incredibly black-pilled. It's hard not to feel like America has been accelerating towards this inevitable demise. Socialism or barbarism? The answer is clear. We have chosen barbarism. Okay, so just remember that. It's compounding. It's getting worse. It's a race to the bottom. It's a race. And last night's debates, I could explain. I would say, if I were to categorize it, if I were to summarize last night's debates, I would say it was a race. It was a race to see who could suck Trump's cock harder. Okay, and Vivek was the greatest cocksucker. Okay, let's be real. He definitely thrived in that. And it was also a race to see who could be the most vicious, violent, barbaric psychopath. And the stage was filled to the brim with lovely individuals on that front. Okay? Your interpretation of Trump not attending the debate last night possibly has to ask for permission to avoid witness intimidation with Pence on stage was pretty crazy. I didn't realize that angle. Holy shit. I think that is the real reason why Trump did not attend that debate last night, because Trump is very good. Trump is very good at debates. He's very good. He's the best. He's very entertaining. He's very charismatic. He's very telegenic. He's very quick. He paces well. He drops bombs. Probably better than his appearances on rallies. Okay? So the fact that he was not attending the debate last night was silly, was awful, was bad for him, I would say. Ramaswamy didn't mention Biden. DeSantis did not mention Trump. Burgum actually addressed all the issues except Trump. Not that it fucking matters. So before, I just wanted to give you guys like my metrics for success, because I brought this up last night, and I want people to understand, like, coming out looking better than before doesn't necessarily change anything, and it won't make your poll numbers look better regardless, right? This was my tier list, my immediate snapshot of the debate and who I think won the debate and what the terms were. But obviously, that did not mean that these guys were actually, they didn't mean that they were actually popping off. What an idiot thinking Vivek won. Guys, I will explain to you what I mean by when I think Vivek won. Vivek's poll numbers moved in a direction that was positive. Okay? A lot of these other people most likely did not move in a direction that was positive. Okay? Or even if they did, they were still nonsensical. They were they already are polling at such low places in the primary that like they're racing to the bottom in their own different way. Who's going to be the last to be thrown into the meat grinder? Okay. Not true. He went from plus 37 to plus 28 in the GOP approval following the debate. Vivek did? Okay. Sure. So, I don't know what poll you're looking at, but this is my assessment overall. Like, for example, Mike Pence came out looking better than before. Does that mean anything for his polls? Absolutely not. Okay? Abso-fucking-lutely not. But he was assertive. He had a lot of talking time, and it was like this different Mike Pence that you saw on stage. Does that mean anything? Absolutely not. He is very intensely disliked by the Republican Party. So, it's not happening for him. So, Trump is actually dog shit at debates, which is why he hopes to screech over his interlocutor. He's only been lucky that he's debated against pussies who don't know how to shut that shit down and double down on him. Trump would have been eaten alive by any leftist streamer. Tim Zahn, you are out of your mind. That is not... Debates are not about the truth. Debates are not about winning anything. It's literally just about shouting down your opponents in many ways. Whoever looks more rhetorically skilled, whoever looks like a better orator wins debates. Okay? And Trump is so good at off-the-cuff zingers. He is a television guy. Okay? Never forget that. That's very important. I already blasted off chatter. I think a lot of people forget that debates are part of the reason, and the nonstop media coverage was part of the reason why Trump even became the candidate for the Republican Party and squeezed out of those primaries in an incredibly unlikely way. Okay? Yeah, he washed the other candidates. We'll look at this is extremely my shit. Who won the first Republican debate? We partnered with Ipsos and Washington Post to poll voters before and after the candidates took stage. We know that thanks to fresh data from 538 Washington Post Ipsos poll conducted by Ipsos' knowledge panel in the hours immediately following the debate. We surveyed the same group of likely Republican primary voters before and after the debate, allowing us to see how much has shifted in the public opinion. All pre- and post-debate numbers below are limited to responders who watched some or all of the debate. The over-under performers. How well likely Republican primary voters who watched the debate expected each candidate to do before the debate versus how well they thought each candidate actually did. Vivek and surprisingly Ron DeSantis is up there. Nikki Haley is understandable. Tim Scott is surprising. None of this other stuff is surprising to me at all. Vivek was very tactical with everything and tried to implement things Trump and Obama have done in the past. Yes, but Vivek has some issues, okay? One, he is brown. He's brown in a confusing way that Americans are unfamiliar with, okay? He's an Indian man, and Americans are not really, they don't really know where to categorize Vivek. So that is always going to be an issue for him. Okay, especially for Republicans. Bro, I am Indian. Please stop. Okay, go run for office in the Republican Party and see how well you are welcomed in right-wing, red-ass motherfucking states where you are campaigning. That's reductive. Republicans love race traitors. Yes, as a token, not as a literal person in a position of power. Please understand this. I talked about this last night. The Republican primary field is oftentimes way more diverse than the Democrat one. But we don't even consider that usually. The Republican primary always has a bunch of different black Republicans, maybe even sometimes Indian Republicans, Latino Republicans, right? It don't matter. They don't win. They get fucking pummeled. Anyway. Like you said, wait till the hogs ask him what God he's referring to. Exactly. This data isn't presented very well. If they did well in the debate, they're up left on the diagonal. Up right just means they had high expectations beforehand, too, on this graph. Haley had the best debate performance. Vivek did subpar because he was below expectations. So, this time might be an exception. Absolutely not. You are delusional. If you think that Vivek Ramaswamy, who got a George Soros Fellowship Scholarship when he was going to fucking college, who was on the board of WEF, I think, or not on the board, but he was like a World Economic Forum guy, who is also not even Christian. He claims monotheism, but he says he's a monotheistic Hindu, okay? If you think that guy is going to be the VP for Donald Trump or something, you are out of your fucking mind. Okay? There's no shot. evangelicals will look at him and go, oh, he's a Satanist. He's a fucking Satan worshiper, okay? No evangelical is going to look at someone like Vivek Ramaswamy and go, oh, no, I his God is my God. Are you fucking kidding me? Evangelicals don't even like Catholics. Evangelicals literally think Catholics are devil worshipers. What the fuck are we talking about? And those guys are white as fuck. Joe Brandon is Catholic. There's only been 2 Catholic presidents in this country, Joe Brandon and JFK. Okay? And we saw what happened to the first one. Get the fuck out of here. This country is still very much run by white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Okay? WASPs. Now, the only thing I will say about Vivek, that was bad, that works against him, is that he's too much of a fucking nerd. And I don't know how well that translates to the broader Republican primary voters, because he was way too much of a fucking nerd. He got a lot of speaking time, and he said all the things that, like, he thinks people want to hear, except for foreign policy, where he got fucking hammered. Okay? Where he got absolutely eviscerated for his insanely incoherent foreign policy takes. But he hit every dog whistle, and more importantly, bro, please stop. Not all Indians are creeps and nerds. Okay, take a day off, my friend. Okay, this is I'm doing anti-Indian discrimination in the chat by taking a day off for you, giving you a day off because you're being weird. Please stop. Anyway, so Vivek is basically right-wing Andrew Yang. I think he's more so like Pete Buttigieg, but more charismatic or more aware of like what the talking points are that he needs to hit. And also, there isn't like the Republican primaries and the Republican structure is a little bit different than the Democratic Party structure, both on the messaging front and also on who gets to win and for what reasons they win. On the messaging front, the greatest example I can give you is Democrats run away from their base of support and constantly fucking tell them, oh, good things are not possible, shut the fuck up, but you still have to vote for me because we're the most electable, because otherwise the other side is crazy. Right-wingers, on the other hand, run bouldering towards their audience and say, oh, you want the most insane shit? I will give it to you, king. As long as you go out and vote, I will give it to you. I don't give a fuck, okay? Republicans are not used to being told no for this reason, which is what Nikki Haley did. Something I discussed last night. Nikki Haley kept behaving like a Republican. So a lot of the media, of course, responded positively to this. And they were like, Nikki Haley is so smart. And she really had an incredible show. She really put on an incredible show, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Ultimately, Republican voters are not used to hearing, no, I can't give you what you want. Oh, did I say Nikki Haley ran like a Republican? She ran like a Democrat is what I meant. Sorry. Okay? Voters in the Republican Party hate that. They're not trained to understand that that is like reasonable. Nikki Haley made a lot of clear and coherent points. I've said this before. She understands the assignment, quote unquote, I guess. She understands the existential threat that the Republican Party faces. However, she's bad at communicating a positive way to get out of it, especially because it seems like she's speaking to a general electorate during the primaries, and the primaries are going to fucking clean her out. Okay? Republicans would rather be lied to if they like the lie. Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay? Ultimately, you have to remember the debate-watching GOP electorate is not necessarily representative of the broader GOP electorate, which is why it seems DeSantis has done well. Well, you also have to remember Trump wasn't there. Okay? Other than saying she was pro-life, she was basically a Dem last night. She even called out Republicans for raising the debt. Yeah, she did a lot of stuff that was interesting, was unique. Does that translate to getting positive coverage from the Republican Party? I doubt it. Because again, the very same issues that she very correctly identifies that are an ever-present existential threat to the Republican Party's viability in elections is the main reason why she will get fucking cleaned in the primaries like this. Because absolutely zero people have an appetite for that kind of thing in their Republican base. Okay? They do not have an appetite for someone who tells them guys, we have to fucking figure out and retriangulate our messaging. What the fuck's going on? That stuff is supposed to be handled behind closed doors, okay, with those who are in positions of power in the Republican Party. And then all of those candidates are supposed to go on stage together and show, different kinds of seasoning around the same kind of messaging. But they're not doing that right now, okay? They're not doing that. Anyway, Vivek made, you're right, Vivek is another Trump. His pitch is, I'm a self-made billionaire business guy, son of immigrants and political outsider that attacks other candidates well and treats incredibly complex geopolitics like it's simple shit. He's brown Trump with a hard-to-spell name, except he's not like Trump at all. Not only because he's brown, but also because he is actually an unknown entity. Due to him being an unknown entity, he will get a little bit of boost every single time he's on television like this, especially if he keeps riding the Trump line. Okay? Do you understand? However, here's the issue. Okay? Donald Trump isn't just a billionaire businessman that people were like, oh, I love that you're a businessman. You're so brilliant. Donald Trump played a businessman on television. If anything, Donald Trump was an incredibly unsuccessful businessman. He got bankrupt 7 fucking times. Okay? It's what the Americans perceived of him. He was a telegenic, charismatic TV con man. Okay? He was a businessman on television for decades. He had a tremendous amount of popularity that he could drive from. Someone like Vivek doesn't have that. He's a pharmaceutical CEO. Get the fuck out of here. He was a Silicon Valley tech guy. No shot does he get that same level of approach, same level of positivity that Donald Trump was able to tap into. Okay? So him trying to pull the Donald Trump shit is not going to work in the same way that it worked for Donald Trump. Okay? So always remember that. Okay? Always remember that. Americans don't give a fuck about like a wealthy businessman, especially if that wealthy businessman is successful at business. They care about the aesthetics of the wealthy businessman. Mitt Romney was a wealthy businessman, and he came across incredibly out of touch. They actually used his business prowess against him in the second term Obama, the second term Obama re-election campaign, where his business prowess was used against him. They portrayed him as an out-of-touch rich guy. They also very successfully said, you participated in mass layoffs, you're a fucking demon. Okay? Remember, the car elevators, the fact that he put his dog on top of his car, the fact that he had binders full of women, the fact that he was Bain Capital's very own. Like, all of these things actually hurt Mitt Romney. Why did it not hurt Donald Trump? Why is it that Donald Trump is able to avoid these things? Well, because he's not a businessman. He's a fucking television businessman. Okay? Let's continue. Vivek and Christie clash over Trump. I'm not running for president at MSNBC.
I'm going to take a brief moment and talk about the elephant not in the room.
Good bar from Brett Baer.
Former President Trump has been indicted in 4 different states on 91 counts. He will be processed tomorrow in Georgia at the Fulton County Jail for charges relating to the 2020 election loss.
You all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise.
So this moment is really important. Keep an eye out for little Rhonda here and the incredibly cowardly thing that he did.
Raise your hand if you would.
Oh no. God damn. Little Rhonda. Oh no, he looks to his right, realizes everyone's raising their fucking hands. He's like, oh, time for me to raise my hand, I guess.
Just hold on. So just to be clear, Governor Christie, you were kind of late to the game there, but you raised your hand?
No, I'm doing this. Look, I'm doing this.
And
not
I know
this.
you didn't.
Whoa. No.
What's the
Look, here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct. Okay?
Okay, Democrat.
Now, whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
And the room is conflicted on this. God, this room was crazy. Do not judge anything by the reactions in this room. The only thing that this room and the audience actually showed was that they are completely oblivious to what they're listening to, and that there was genuinely a diversity of thought in that room. A lot of donors, a lot of staffers, and some Trump supporters, certainly. There's just no shot, because like it was the most insane thing I've ever watched. Like, they would literally boo and then cheer the exact same talking point in succession.
And you know, this is the great thing about this country. Booing is allowed.
Very bad idea to address the booing, by the way. The moment that you address the booing is the moment that you're fucking cooked. You're done.
But it doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the truth.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
Because then you just said boo. The crowd does not operate. The crowd does not operate like a bunch of individuals gathered in one area. They operate like an organism. They only hear you say, "Oh, you can boo me all you want." They're gonna go boo. They're gonna boo you harder.
raise your hand supporting.
No. I'd like to get in and respond. Let's just speak the truth, okay? President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact. And Christie, honest to God, your claim that Donald Trump is motivated by vengeance and grievance would be a lot more credible if your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man. And if people at home want to see a bunch of people blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country, they could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong. We have to end the weaponization of justice in this country.
30 seconds, Governor DeSantis.
You know, let me take some.
Look how many fucking cheers he got for this, dude. Twitch chat crowd, like when you say an emote, yeah.
Sorry, 30 seconds, Governor Christie.
You make me laugh because
Goes both ways, brother.
They're booing him because he said, "You make me laugh." They're like, "This is no laughing matter, Chris Christie."
Here in an answer, you sit here in an answer right.
He's so fucking gross and does. I said this earlier on Leftovers. He gives. I have like a guttural, visceral reaction to his commentary. I hear what he's saying and it disgusts me, right? He's like, there's also something very slimy about him because he's such an obvious, like ladder climbing rat, right? Where he'll say anything and everything. Like he is a perfect grifter who recognizes that this is his avenue, right? And it's weird because he looks the most lobbyist out of all of them and behaves the most lobbyist out of all of them. But he's saying all the things by opening up with the statement, the laughable statement that I am not bought and paid for by other people, because he's trying to do with Donald Trump. Okay? Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's fun because ultimately his campaign is going to wither away and he's going to turn into an Andrew Yang style candidate.
You sit here and answer.
Go ahead, Governor Christie.
Hold on, Governor Christie.
Hold on.
Oh, God, he's getting owned.
So listen.
I'm not going to lie. This was the moment that Chris Christie, like, died, okay? Like, I think he did not have enough momentum to begin with. He was already, like, deeply and undesirably unpopular. But I expected more from him because he's, like, at least, you know, he's a little bit quick-witted in comparison to others. He has lasered other candidates in the past, and I thought he would have a better performance. I quickly realized that was wrong, and that was not going to happen because he was just getting fucking bouldered. Because his only difference on that stage, his only promise on that stage is that he's going to be different than everybody else. In what way? Well, he's not going to put up with Trump's shit. Same with Asa Hutchinson. There's no avenue there for you.
The more time we spend doing this, the less time they can talk about issues you want to talk about. So let's just get through this section. Governor Christie.
You sit here talking about how you want to stand up for the rule of law.
Yes.
And law and order. And the fact is that it can't be selective. In your book, you had much different things to say about Donald Trump than you're saying here tonight.
That's not true.
Well, it is very true.
That is not true.
It's very true. I read it,
because
and I
there's
know.
a difference
Look,
between bad behavior and illegal behavior, Chris. And you, as a prosecutor, should know better.
Yeah, you know what? I know a lot better.
There's a difference between bad behavior. And
I know a lot better than you do. You've never done it like you've never done anything to try to advance the interests of this government except to put yourself forward as a candidate tonight. And here's the thing. We've stood up for law and order. I did it as U.S. attorney. I did it as governor. And I am not going to bow to anyone when we have a president of the United States who disrespects the Constitution. He said, your MSNBC contributor. He said,
these are politicized indictments,
Martha,
and we have to call out the truth.
Martha, it's important to say that the president said, Donald Trump said, it's okay to suspend the Constitution. Now, the oath you take is to preserve, protect, and defend, not suspend. I will always stand up for our Constitution, regardless of the political pressure.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to...
God, I wish it was fuck. Oh, fuck. God damn it, Sean Hannity. You got me to accidentally click on that. I wish they showed the rest of that. I hate the way they cut this out. Yeah, first of all, the crowd's like, fuck the Constitution. But then they were like, actually, we do like the Constitution when Michael Pence was saying it. Why was DeSantis rated as winning on the chart we were looking at? He was extra unsettling with his forced smile, hardly commanded the stage, genuinely surprised at the positive reactions. So Ron DeSantis did something very interesting. He did not have a strong showing at all. But I think that allowed him to kind of slide on by while Vivek was the one who was getting bouldered as though he was the front runner. Ron DeSantis is really intensely dislikable. Like the visceral disgust I have for Vivek, I do not have for Ron DeSantis. When I hear Ron DeSantis speak, I am overcome with apathy and I'm overcome with like sadness. He's just so incredibly cringe that I can't think of anything but how incredibly socially nervous, how anxious he is as a human being, how he's like acting out the role that he's supposed to have. And I think for that reason, the ickiness didn't really stick because he didn't speak as much. He didn't get attacked as much. He didn't really like have any moments where he just like took charge. There were a couple different moments where he just basically said his own lines over and over again. But we've heard him say these lines before. And because he's gotten a lot of coverage from Fox News, we've heard him say these lines on Fox News before. Right? So it's not exactly new. So, Baba, biraz kısar mısın? Okay. So Ron DeSantis noticed that he would get hammered in the fucking polls every time he made media appearances. So I think he made the decision to just like deliver the lines and shut the fuck up in any other moment. Like, he never came across like a leader. He never came with one exception but even then he flubbed it when he like tried to talk about climate change, where he dove on the grenade for everybody else on stage. And even then he flubbed it. And the most prescient moment from that climate change conversation was Vivek Ramaswamy going, climate change is a hoax, or climate change agenda is a hoax. So I think he did decent by the standards. He did decent with what he's working with. Because he can't be someone he's not. He can't be a charismatic person. He can't be a telegenic person. He can't all of a sudden fucking turn around and become like this Riz Lord, right? So what do you do in that situation? What do you do in that situation? You just shut the fuck up and let everybody eat each other alive, and you get your couple talking points. I said this even during the debates where I said, look, he is trying to cut ads. He is trying to cut ads. He's trying to cut ads for himself, campaign ads. He's just trying desperately. He's trying desperately to just like say his talking points and shut the fuck up. Anyway, Vivek laughs at Pence over answer to pardoning Trump. This was a wonderful moment as well.
Mike, why
Let's
don't you
take a
say
look.
this? Join me in making a commitment that on day one you would pardon Donald Trump. I'm the only candidate on the stage who had the courage to actually say it. That is how we move our nation forward.
I don't know
and
why
turn the
you
page
assume that
forward. That's
Donald
exactly
Trump
right.
will be convicted of these crimes.
So Mike Pence can't say, here's one thing that I never saw from the media. Mike Pence is a key witness, the star witness on a federal case involving Donald Trump. So this is actually a really scummy question to direct to Mike Pence, knowing full well that he can't fucking say he's going to pardon Trump. What are you, insane? He's the star witness. Like, yeah, no shit, he's not going to say anything, which is why I think he did it, which was very clever. But it doesn't really matter because Mike Pence is he's irrelevant, in the grand scheme of things. Nobody gives a shit.
Be able to make a commitment, the same justice system that was this corrupt.
Here's the difference between you and me.
Yeah, I'm not a professional politician. That's the difference. Who can answer a question?
I've actually given pardons when I was governor of the state of Indiana. It usually follows a finding of guilt and contrition by the individual that's been convicted. So, if I'm president of the United States, we'll give fair consideration to any pardon request. But if I may, it's not about looking back at January 2021. It's about January 20th, 2017. I put my left hand on Ronald Reagan's Bible. I raised my right hand.
How many times have we heard that? Put my left hand on Ronald Reagan's Bible. Okay, dude.
To support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And it ended with a prayer, so help me God. It was a promise that I made to the American people, but I also made it to my Heavenly Father. Every day for 4 years, I sought to keep that oath. And everyone on this stage needs to make it clear whether or not they'll do the same if they earn this job and the confidence of the American people. Now, look, I've made it clear. I had hoped that the issues surrounding the 2020 election and the controversies around January 6th had not come to this, had not come to criminal proceedings. I would rather they had been resolved by the American people and the American people alone. But no one's above the law, and President Trump is entitled to the presumption of innocence that every American is entitled to, and we will make sure and extend that to him. But the American people deserve to know that the president asked me in his request that I reject or return votes unilaterally.
By the way, they just let him ride. Like, he's just talking. Fox News is totally letting him ride. You want to know why? Because the very same reason why he became Donald Trump's vice president. He was the Koch brother candidate. The reason why Donald Trump said yes to having Mike Pence as his VP was because he wanted to give assurances to the real mega donors of the Republican Party, to the institutional controllers of the Republican Party, that like, sure, I'll have Mike Pence by my side. That's the very same reason why Fox News is letting him fucking go on with this boring bullshit. Okay? That's why he was the VP, just like Joe Biden was the VP for Barack Obama, because they wanted to at least like saturate the racial vote a little bit by saying, look, here's a guy who's like kind of racist and like a goofy ass white guy that a goofy ass white boy that you know and trust. He's going to be the VP. Don't worry, he will keep the black Muslim Kenyan man in check. Okay? Pence was also for the evangelical vote. Fuck no. Pence is a full-on Heartland Institute plant. Motherfucker says cigarettes aren't bad for you. No, dude. Pence is not for the evangelical vote, my friend. Evangelicals are infinitely more positive on Donald Trump than they are on Michael Pence. What do you mean? The evangelicals do not even consider another person other than Trump. Trump is Jesus. They're talking about back in 2016. No, even back then they loved Trump. Even back then, they loved Trump. By the end of the election cycle, evangelicals were completely captivated by Donald Trump. Mike Pence's main reason for being selected, I thought the common narrative was Pence brought Trump the evangelicals. No, the evangelicals already liked Donald Trump because they are not actual religious people. They are television watcher conspiracy theorists, okay? If anything, they probably brought more moderate evangelicals or more moderate Protestants on board. These guys are zealots. They're a political group. You guys are crazy. Evangelicals are an active voting bloc in the Republican Party. Okay? They were already absolutely captivated by Donald Trump. Yes, Jerry Falwell was probably a much more important figure in bringing over evangelical voters to Donald Trump than anyone else. So these guys aren't Christians. They don't operate like Christians. They will say fuck Jesus Christ if they have to. Okay? I don't care what the narrative was. I'm telling you what it actually is. Okay? I don't care what the mainstream media 2016 narrative was about Mike Pence and what his bona fides were. I'm telling you what the real reason why Trump brought Mike Pence on. Mike Pence is a fucking built in a laboratory Koch brothers guy. Donald Trump's main backers were a Mercer coalition and a bunch of other billionaires that did not actually fully agree with the rest of the Republican Party on certain issues. He was brought in specifically to capitulate to the Kochs and the other old school institutional Republican Party backers. Okay? To say, hey, look, trust me, like, we're not going to deviate too hard. Same thing that Obama did with Biden to get the whites to vote. Exactly. So, you needed to play a balancing act when you bring in a person like this. You need to cover for areas that your candidate is weak in. And a lot of people thought Donald Trump was volatile. Because listen, if Mike Pence was so strong in changing the hearts and minds of evangelicals, you would see that in his fucking poll numbers. Evangelicals prefer Donald Trump to Mike Pence every single day of the fucking week. Okay? Now let's continue.
Power that no vice president in American history had ever exercised or taken. He asked me to put him over the Constitution. And I chose the Constitution, and I always will. I had no right to overturn the election, and Kamala Harris will have no right to overturn the election when we beat them in 2024.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey,
All right, let's get DeSantis. I got no beef with Mike Pence.
Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th.
So here's what we need to do. We need to end the weaponization of these federal agents.
But that's not
I
the
will
question.
do that.
That's not the question.
I know, but here's the thing.
gonna answer the
This
question?
election is not about January 6th of 2021. It's about January 20th of 2025, when the next president is going to take office. I know what the Democrats would like to do. They want to talk about all these other issues, but we've got to focus on
9/14/2015 Federalist article. Evangelicals don't love Trump. Yeah, dude. Yeah, let's resort to the Federalist for what the beating heart of the Republican Party looks like when every single one of these institutional Republican Party operations before Donald Trump straight up were against Donald Trump. In 2015, let me tell you something. I was there. Okay? I was a political commentator. I was fucking there. So I can give you personal firsthand acknowledgments. In 2015, Charlie Kirk was anti-Donald Trump. Do you understand? With the exception of like Breitbart, almost every single one of these outlets, including Fox News, were making a mockery of Donald Trump and not getting on the Trump train. They were wrong. They were completely wrong. They did a horrible job of analyzing what the people wanted. Okay? Evangelicals love Trump now because of Roe? Absolutely not. You are so wrong. You are so wrong if you think evangelical support came for Trump because of Roe. Oh my God, that is delusional. What are you saying? Oh God, I'm losing my mind. Please let me do the political analysis. Please, please, please. I promise you, you're just absolutely, like, unimaginably incorrect. Trump has polled incredibly positively with evangelicals across the board, even with polling errors leading up to Donald Trump's incredible popularity. Evangelicals are not real Christians, so much so that they were consistently met with the juxtaposition of Donald Trump, the person, the womanizer, the adulterer, okay, the New York guy, and every single person was like, why the fuck are these guys so incredibly on board? Why are these evangelicals who are supposed to be religious so on board with this guy who is not a zealot at all? Because evangelicals care more about exercising their political mania than they are about, like, being godly. They don't give a shit. Trump had his big panel of evangelical mega pastor church super early. They've always backed him as soon as he started doing well in 2015. Like, Jerry Falwell is one of the most important figures that was an early Trump backer. Hasanabi is right, but chatters are also right that there were a lot of politicos trying to justify the Pence pick at the time as shoring up the evangelical vote. Yeah. If anything, it was the Indiana vote. Okay, that's it. Not the evangelical vote. Maybe the evangelicals in Indiana.
Your future. We've got to focus on reversing the decline of our country. Right. I learned in the military, I was assigned with U.S. Navy SEALs in Iraq, that you focus on the mission above all else. You can't get distracted. So Republicans, we've got to look forward, and we've got to make sure that we're bringing the message that can win in November 2024.
Vice President Pence, what do you think, Vice President?
Is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I think the American people deserve to know whether everyone on this stage agrees that I kept my oath to the Constitution that day. There's no more important duty. So answer the question.
I've answered this before.
So yes.
Why are we? Mike did his duty. I got no beef with him. But here's the thing: is this what we're going to be focusing on?
I'm relieved.
Going forward.
Bobblehead motherfucker.
The rehashing of this, I'll tell you,
Governor
the
DeSantis,
Democrats would love that, and they will win if we let them get away with it. I'm not letting Biden hang out in the basement this time. We're going to run him ragged around this country, and we're going to hold him accountable.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
God, he's so fucking whiny.
So
Governor DeSantis.
But, like, not whiny in a cool way. Like, when Trump is whiny, it's, like, sexy. When Ron is whiny, it's in, like, a weak way. You know what I mean? And I think Americans see a lot of themselves in Trump, but I don't think they see themselves in Ron. They see their worst aspects in Ron. You know what I mean? Just like a socially anxious weirdo.
So let me just finish addressing that slogan, because I don't know what that slogan means. We need to shut down the administrative state. That's actually how we translate it.
Crime has been on the rise in Florida, Governor DeSantis. How do you stop crime?
Well, actually, crime's at a 50-year low in Florida. We're happy with that.
Once again, crime is at a 50-year low everywhere. Okay.
Well, the statewide, it's a 50-year low. And so here's the thing. These hollowed out cities, this is a symptom of America's decline. And one of the biggest reasons is because you have George Soros funding these radical left-wing district attorneys. They get into office and they say they're not going to prosecute crimes they disagree with. The inmates start running the asylum. There's one guy in this entire country that's ever done anything about that. Me. When we had two of these district attorneys in Florida elected with Soros funding who said they wouldn't do their job, I removed them from their posts. They are gone. And as president, we are going to go after all of these people because they are hurting the quality of life and they are victimizing innocent people in every corner of this country. And it will stop when I get into office.
Okay, one more here before the break, Governor Bergen.
Brett and Martha, I just thought it was interesting. You asked your question about the problems we're having in big cities.
Boo, shut up. What was his name again? Doug? Was it Fug? I don't even know. Doug Burzum.
Nobody ever asked the question of what about the crime wave in small towns? Because in a small town, neighbors help neighbors. People understand each other. If a farmer gets sick, everybody comes together and helps them get the crop off. There's accountability. There's transparency. One thing that I think this country could use is somebody in the White House that understands small town values, because
538 is Bergen with a 45% chance of winning the primary, though. Yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't know how else to explain that. That factoid in and of itself, I think, personally, is a bigger indication that you should never look at 538 ever again for the rest of your life. I mean, even Nate Bronze is no longer there. He's like, Nate Bronze, I mean, this has got to be a joke. Bergamania is coming, brother. No, he's joking, right? 538 fell off ever since Nate Silver left. First of all, Nate Silver turned Nate Bronze very fucking quickly, and they had fallen off while he was there. Now that he's gone, they've fallen off even further.
that's our road back to get this country on track again.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to...
But I think that chatter was joking. So this is a really important part. Okay? You had young Ben Shapiro from a time capsule ask a question about climate change. Okay? This is huge. And the answers here were very interesting. Because, well, one, if I'm looking at it from like my own sane perspective, it's fucking terrifying. But if I'm looking at it from a Republican hat, like how this, plays to the Republican audience, there was a lot of, there was a lot to be said here with the responses. Let's take a look.
Number one issue is climate change. How will you, as both President of the United States and leader of the Republican Party, calm their fears that the Republican Party doesn't care about climate change?
So we want to start on this with a show of hands. Do you believe in human behavior is causing climate change? Raise your hand.
So Ron DeSantis jumps on this grenade. It's a live grenade, right? In some ways, it's a live grenade. Look at Ron just fucking taking the initiative and just jumping on it.
If you do.
Look, we're not school children. Let's have the debate. I mean, I'm happy to take it to start. Alexander?
So do you want to raise your hand or not?
I don't think that's the way to do. So let me just say to Alexander this. First of all, one of the reasons our country's decline is because of the way the corporate media treats Republicans versus Democrats. Biden was on the beach while those people were suffering. He was asked about it. He said no comment. Are you kidding me? As somebody that's handled disasters in Florida, you got to be activated. You've got to be there. You've got to be present.
Yeah, why are those disasters happening in Florida with like much greater frequency? I wonder. Why is that? Also, wasn't he in fucking Japan when one of them happened? Like one of those disasters literally happened. Am I crazy? I might be misremembering. But what's up with that? I mean, if you're the governor of Florida, just fucking talking about climate change like this is so funny because it's like, dude, your state currently cannot get any housing insurance. Like you can't. Because it's always underwater. There's no insurance policy that will insure houses in your fucking state due to climate change.
You got to be helping people who are doing this. And here's the deal.
Let's just answer the question.
So is that a yes or is that a yes? Is that a hand raise?
You do not.
I think it was a hand raise for him, and it's my hands are in my pockets.
No,
because the climate change agenda is a hoax. Let us be honest.
I think that was a hand raise for him. My hands were in my pockets. Okay, dude, you are such a fucking brown-nosing teacher's pet motherfucker. Oh, my God. Like, the more I went back to this debate, the more I started to get annoying with fucking Vivek. One, because, like, everything he said was really, really annoying. But two, I feel like he's just trying too hard. He's too much of a fucking tryhard, man. I don't know if fucking Republicans are going to respond all that positively if he keeps laying it on this thick.
As Republicans, I'm the only person on the stage who isn't
he is
so
male
I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have to...
People are booing not him, for the record. They're booing the moderators here. I just want to clear something up.
The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have to declare independence for it. And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is more people are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of action.
I think either they were booing the moderators or the bought and paid for thing because, like, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because then they start applauding.
Is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is more people are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for?
Is down by 98% in the last century.
Listen.
I've had it. No,
Wait, hold on.
I've had enough. I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Come over and give me a hug. Give me a hug just like you did to Obama.
The same type of amateur.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
the
bear hug,
same
brother.
type of amateur.
Hold on. Governor Haley, would you like to respond? Are you
so,
bought
Brett,
and paid
what
for?
I would like to say is the fact that I think this is exactly why Margaret Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
Yeah, that'll definitely work well with Republicans. They love women in power. You know what I mean?
First of all, we do care about...
Dude, Nikki Haley would kill it in British politics, by the way. Nikki Haley is like a British Lib Dem, not even like a Tory. You know what I mean? She's got it all.
Clean air, clean water. We want to see that taken care of, but there's a right way to do it. And the right way to do it is, first of all, yes, is climate change real? Yes, it is. But if you want to go and really change the environment, then we need to start telling China and India that they have to lower their emissions. That's where our problem is. And these green subsidies that Biden has put in, all he's done is help China, because he doesn't understand all these electric vehicles that he's done, what that does. Half of the batteries for electric vehicles are made in China. And so that's not helping the environment. You're putting money in China's pocket, and Biden did that.
So let's talk about this, okay? Climate change, or at least the externalities due to climate change, extreme weather conditions becoming the norm, is tangible, is unavoidable, like the top of the hour ad break. Unless you're subscribed to avoid the top of the hour ad break, of course, by subscribing for $5 or for free with the Twitch Prime. Make one thing clear. We have the highest per capita emissions and we don't even have a manufacturing economy anymore. Yeah, also, who the fuck is China manufacturing for? Like, whenever people say, oh, China and India, like, they are the highest carbon polluters, I'm like, okay, who are they polluting for? The fuck do you mean? And even then, one, they have better climate policies. They have to fucking do that because their air is not breathable. And two, two, they have a lower per capita carbon emission than we do. Of course they have a lower per capita carbon emission than we do. Nobody touches America, okay, on that front. Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break now. Let me get back to what I was going to say, though. Because the impact of anthropogenic climate change is becoming impossible to not reckon with. You're either under fire all over, you're on fire, or you're underwater all over the country. Republicans have to reckon with that. And there's the one far right way of reckoning with that, which is that it's a Chinese hoax, it's Chinese space lasers, it's, I don't know, space wizards, it's made up, whatever. Or the more moderate Republican position is like slowly shifting away from saying like global warming, hello, look at this snowball, to actually sure the earth is warming up. That's fine, that's happening. And it's either happening due to China and India and the third world or developing nations, which is fucking false, obviously, or it's happening because of the naturally occurring phenomena of the Earth's climate just warming up in and of itself. Okay? That's it. It's like a normal, natural cycle. There's also some other interesting points. That they engage with from time to time. such as we actually can't do anything about it, or we mustn't do anything about it. If we do anything about it, then it's actually going to harm us. The cure can't be worse than the poison, right? Similar to COVID. So they're hitting all of those different talking points right now. They're addressing pretty much all of those different talking points.
So, first of all, I think we need to acknowledge the truth, which is these subsidies are not working. We also need to take on the international world and say, okay, India and China, you've got to stop polluting. And that's when we'll start to deal with
Senator Scott, are you
like, it's pretty funny to say, yeah, in order to stop climate change, like Nikki Haley is so funny because like she's saying climate change is real. Anthropogenic climate change is real. Okay. But it's not the man-made climate change that is in America that's causing this. It's carbon pollution, sure, it's emissions. It's the Chinese emitting, right? And that's such a fucking idiotic take because then you just undermine your own perspective. Then America can do something and should do something about it, right? Let's continue.
Bought and paid for?
Absolutely.
Are you bought and paid for?
I'm sorry?
Are you bought and paid for?
Absolutely not. I mean, here's what the American people deserve is a debate about the issues that affect their lives. Going back and forth, being childish is not helpful to the American people to decide on the next leader of our country. Number one, wait a second. Number two, as a kid who grew up in a single-parent household mired in poverty, I wondered, was the American dream real for kids who were devastated by poverty, devastated by the challenges of life? I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America. If we want the environment to be better, and we all do, the best thing to do is to bring our jobs home from China. If we create 10 million new jobs in my Made in America plan, we will have a better economy and a
low-key, I mean, if we're thinking about it from the environmental point of view, given how stupid Americans are and how the American government works, unironically, manufacturing staying in China is probably better for global emissions overall because they have a mechanism to genuinely change the outcome. We do not. So obviously, I am still in favor of bringing jobs to America to a certain degree. I am in favor of building up our manufacturing capabilities once again. But if you're purely thinking about it from the perspective of like our carbon footprint, holy fuck, dude. Can you imagine American manufacturers? They already, with the limited amount of output we have, we already pollute our own goddamn rivers and shit on a daily fucking basis.
A better environment. Let me tell you why I say that, Brett. America.
Do it quickly.
America has cut. I'm a Southern boy. I talk slow. So America.
Another one.
That was quick. America has cut our carbon footprint in half in the last 25 years. The places where.
Like, look at this, guys. You have to understand something. This is really interesting, and it completely deviates away from what Trump has said about climate change. Trump says climate change is a hoax. It's a Chi-Com conspiracy. You have pretty much every Republican on stage right now saying, well, no, we have done actually a lot to reduce our carbon footprint. All of which comes with the admission that anthropogenic climate change is very real and it's an ever-present danger to American futures and the American present. Now, that is very, very interesting. It is a change of pace. The last time I heard Republicans openly talking about this, okay? The last time I heard America's openly talking about this, no, it's not hype. It's devastating. It's devastation. Oh, you're talking about hype train. I thought you were hyped up that Republicans are recognizing climate change. Now, let me tell you something. Let me explain something to you. They aren't talking about carbon at all, dude. That's false. They just say climate change. Listen. I'm old. When Barack Obama was going against the maverick John McCain was seen as like a conservative who cared about the environment. John McCain had pushed for a carbon emission reductions, capping, not a green energy initiative, a green energy carbon renewal, but cap and trade. Only after going up against Barack Obama did he change his mentality on it. Okay? So Republicans, while still always advocating for the hoax of climate change and saying that climate change is a hoax, whatnot, we're still cognizant of like certain initiatives quietly that could maybe, not in a super meaningful way, but marginally reduce carbon emissions. It's also really interesting considering that like yesterday's Republican initiatives become today's Democratic Party policies. Okay? It's yet another indication of the ever-changing rightward shift in the Overton window. It's crazy. But now that push has come to shove and we are experiencing some of the worst aspects of anthropogenic climate change, which things are only slated to get worse, it seems like they're at least recognizing it and fucking making up really stupid excuses rather than just like outright denying it, even though they probably will outright deny it in other circumstances. And on the policy front, it's basically an outright refusal. The only person who just like clapped on it was Vivek. And he did it in a wishy-washy way where he said the climate change agenda is a hoax. He didn't say climate change is a hoax. That's what Donald Trump had said. He said the climate change agenda is a hoax. That is going to be his way of weaseling out of that take so that he can have his cake and eat it too. Oh, that's another great example, dude. Thank you.
They are continuing to increase. Africa, 950 million people. India, over 1 billion. China, over 1 billion. Why would we put ourselves at a disadvantage? Devastating our own economy. Let's bring our jobs home.
30 seconds is 30 seconds, Mr.
So then this was the Nikki Haley, Ramaswamy back and forth, where Nikki Haley was angry at Ramaswamy for Vivek's insane and relatively incomprehensible foreign policy approach, which is like, I think incomprehensible from the perspective of the average voter, but I guess like still toes the line of the State Department, you know what I mean? Like not super far removed from it, but it's still exaggerated, I think. I mean, the idea that like Russia is supposed to be our allies against China.